Talk about degenerative disease and people that are less healthy and declining health, but do you realize 5 years ago, 24% of our young couples were not able to conceive or required major medical intervention to conceive? That is a serious problem and a result, I believe, it's a direct result of our food system that we have today, the foods of modern commerce. Most cattle that go through feedlots receive steroids to boost their growth rate and beefiness. While federal law prohibits people from self-medicating with most steroids, administering these drugs to U.S. cattle is not only permissible, but an accepted standard. Growth-promoting implants reduce beef tenderness and flavor. Leave out the fact about health and what it might do to the people who eat the beef, because there's no research available today that documents anything, because universities only research for those with money. Pharmaceutical companies, big agribusiness firms, Cargill, Tyson, and those kind of folks, they are not going to do research that shows that this is unhealthy. But we know one thing for absolute sure: Colorado State University, Texas A&M, and Colorado State University again in 2001 did prove that hormones and steroids used in beef production make meat tougher and reduce marbling. What happens when you reduce the marbling? You reduce the flavor. The other thing that happens when you reduce the marbling is you reduce your ability to digest the food. The fat is critical for good digestion. In fact, the nutrients, the real nutrition, is in the fat. The fat is important, especially in our beef, where we feed our cattle a mixture of feeds and supplements that include linoleic acid. Linoleic acid converts to CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, in the fat, which is excellent fatty acid, reduces cancer tumor growths and obesity. That's just another benefit if you feed your cattle right. So what do we do about this toughness problem? Because tenderness is the number one thing. It's the most important thing to a consumer. They don't realize the marbling's there or not there after the beef is cooked, particularly in a restaurant. And in fact, at the Hereford houses in Kansas City, before we started selling steaks to the Hereford houses years ago, they were getting like 1 in 5 steaks back as being too tough. So that problem got addressed, and it got addressed with the Ross tenderizing machine and these Jacquard tools that they use. And basically what that is 32 steel blades that are razor sharp on the ends, and it goes down through the meat, and it cuts the muscle fiber and the connective tissue and makes the meat much softer. So when you go to Outback, you can chew it, you can swallow it, and you think it's okay, but did it make it any easier to digest? No. And a lot of people have quit eating beef, older people in particular, because it sets in their stomach like a rock. What did they do to offset the problem with a loss of marbling and flavor? We add flavoring agents.
Wow. Tastes like it's right off the grill.
You don't think it needs like liquid smoke?
No. I think it's perfect.
Also chemical agents to help tenderize the meat and make it softer. This is what it looks like, but guess what? You better cook it to well done. Even though they don't tell you at Roadhouse, Outback, Texas Land and Cattle, and all of these national chain steakhouses to cook it to well done, it might be a good idea to do that. They aren't going to tell you that most food service and restaurant steaks are blade tenderized, and that Stampede Steak Company recalled 739,000 pounds of steaks for E. coli in 2003. A lot of people got sick, but you know what? They were blaming it on the salad bar because they didn't think you could get it from a steak. The public doesn't know, and the USDA is not going to tell them. But the fact is, when you put those blades down through that top butt, that bacteria that's on the outside is now on the inside. And the only way to kill it is if you cook it to well done. This is the burger. The burger on the left is Ranch Foods. The burger on the right is a Sysco burger. It's the frozen, perforated burger that they typically sell into all the fast food and national chains and restaurants. This is source verified from beef born, raised, and processed in the USA. Cattle are raised without hormones, subtherapeutic antibiotics, and without animal byproducts in the feed. They're produced by family farm ranchers. And we do a process called rinse and chill where the blood's removed. Our beef is cleaner than kosher. We process an animal about every 5 minutes. The big packers process an animal every 8 to 9 seconds, 350 to 400 head every hour. Much more careful job of processing. When you remove the blood, you get rid of the medium on which bacteria grow. When you remove the blood, you leave behind a higher profile of lactic acid, which is a natural and biological pathogen control in itself. So we sent our ground beef to the University of Minnesota. They seeded E. coli 157 in our ground beef. We had a 3-log reduction within a very short period of time. It basically killed the E. coli. It kills the salmonella. Our beef is safe. You can eat it medium rare. What's up with this industrial stuff over here? Well, it's got an unknown origin. Don't even know what country it comes from. Why do you think the big packers want to block country of origin labeling? It's because they can buy beef in Argentina, Brazil, and other places for half the price that we can produce it for here. And they don't want you to know where it comes from. And they blend it in with all this other stuff. And it may contain DNA from 1,082 animals in one ground beef patty. So it comes from a lot of animals. And it's raised, of course, with growth-promoting hormones and antibiotics because that saves $70 to $80 a head in the production of those animals. They don't want to give that up. It contains low-cost advanced meat recovery. AMR contains bone pieces. How many of you had a hamburger where you got a bone chip? Advanced meat recovery, guarantee you. It's advanced meat recovery. What they do is they take the spinal column, all the small bones, the ribs and the spinal column, and they throw them in this machine that converts it into a bright red paste. Meat recovery, advanced meat recovery. Does that mean they take the meat off the bone? No, it means they include the bone with the meat. But what's also in that backbone? Ganglia, spinal column. So 35% of the samples taken by USDA contain brain and spinal tissue. Is that an issue today with mad cow? Yes, it really is. It is an issue. Why is it we find more BSE in dairy cows than we do other breeds? Because in the big industrial dairies, cows are put under enormous stress. So, this burger on the right, you got to cook it to well done. What about that carbon monoxide? Did you guys hear about that when King Soopers said, okay, we're going to quit, you can stop talking about it now? They were treating their meat with carbon monoxide to mask spoilage. It'll stay red forever. It can be rotten and still be red.